All right. Welcome, one and all, to the Off the Rails Sports Podcast. And we are going to do the summer Daytona race. And wow, a lot of technical stuff going on here. We have the superstar back in the house, Scott, all the way from beautiful Oregon. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good. After some free agency talks and, being holding out, felt like I was a Dallas Cowboys kind of person trying to get the
Micah
big
Parsons.
negotiate. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good name drop. Here we go. Jay's on it. Let's not forget how quick Jay can get on this cues. I got to cue him up so he's ready. It's like boxing. He has to be on his toes with me, Bumblebee style, you know.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, took a little vacay from the podcast, hoping to hit it back hard. So here we go.
Nice.
Here we go.
Yeah. Get ready for football, right? And
Where are
I
we? Where are we? Where are we?
football
Who
off the
are we?
rails,
No,
off the
who are we?
rails,
Off the Rail Sports
sports.
Podcast. Like
Yes.
and
Yeah.
subscribe.
Yeah, I can subscribe, right? You know, I know you don't watch this. I know you're probably not really into it, but there was a little tidbit, and I talked about it the other night. Jake Paul has done an amazing job. He's a YouTube boxer guy, whatever, and he's fought a lot of MMA guys in boxing. And he actually, his last fight,
Yeah.
he fought Julio Cesar Jr., right, before he got deported, right? And
In Anaheim.
he, in Anaheim, and he just signed a fight, and I saw two sources on it, but with boxing, you're never really sure. Uh, to fight Gervonta Davis, who is literally one of the best middleweights in the world. And I thought to myself, I understand you want to win a title, but this is the wrong guy to pick. This guy hits like
Right.
a ton of bricks. I mean, Jake Paul, I don't know what the people around him are telling him, like, oh, you're good, you're good. But this is the wrong guy to get in the ring with. You don't get in the ring with Canelo. I mean, if you
Hey,
don't know everything, whoa, 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 whoa.
hey, he got in the ring
Yeah.
with Mike Tyson.
Yes.
Hey,
Yeah.
you break off that enough cheese, they know how to pull the punches. If you watch that fight with Mike Tyson came in with one good uppercut, and you saw him cringe and go, "Hey, buddy, don't forget this is WWE, and I'm
Right.
Hollywood Hulk Hogan, R.I.P. You're not supposed to hit me that hard." And then they went on for the next 4 rounds doing the little dance thing, and Mikey biting his hand. Yeah, I never watched the fight, so my bad.
Never. Yeah, right.
Never.
And
Yeah.
and I and another little thing, and I know we're gonna get to Daytona here in a second.
Yeah.
Boxing is all about pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest fight we have seen, honestly, come down the pipe since Pacquiao fought Mayweather. I mean, literally, this is the biggest fight. Crawford is going to fight Canelo, and that is on Netflix for free.
Yep.
And I'm like, wow. I
Yeah.
mean, that is insane. What kind of
Yeah.
cash are they paying for that?
Yeah. Well, don't forget the last live Netflix fight that they had with your boy that you just mentioned.
Yep. Yep.
It broke Netflix. It went down for a minute. You haven't
Yeah.
seen that for a long time. Will this break
Right.
Netflix again? Pay-per-view might be a dying thing now.
It
Everybody,
absolutely is.
everybody's looking for the a la carte thing. Look how smart the not for long NFL that my boy likes to call him
Yes.
Jay.
Yes.
They sold what, 12%, 15% to ESPN
No,
for
they
the
they
rec.
acquired 10%. They acquired
Yeah,
10% of
look at
ESPN. Yes, correct.
God. I love teeing
Yes.
you up. I love teeing you up. Yeah, I love it. They got the red zone. They got part of they got a lot of the network. 10%. A lot is to our little podcast is huge. You
Oh,
know,
it's insane. It's
but
insane.
just to give up that much money because they know where you know, podcasts and apps are going and not trying to be a
Right.
diet person like DirecTV or Dish,
Sure,
insane.
sure.
Yeah.
The
Hey,
I think you're right though. The pay-per-view model is dead, and I think the biggest indication of that was that the UFC signed a deal with Paramount, and they basically at the press conference said, we are not going to have any pay-per-view on Paramount for the next 6 years. And Dana White said, well, that may be true, but we have three more pay-per-views this year. Just trying to wring every
right.
dollar he can out of it,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he's getting the biggest cash out on that pay per view,
Sure,
but
sure.
but long term, he knows he needs to be with Paramount. That guy makes so many great decisions. You
He
know,
does.
you
He's a
know.
real good CEO. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. Look at UFC when they first started, when they were in, double digits. The fighters would come out with the giant banners of all their sponsors. It was
Mm-hmm.
almost
Mm.
like a NASCAR car out there with all the sponsors on it. And
Yes.
then they realized it's, hey, we need to get rid of all these guys and have Nike or Venom or whoever they got going, and and then push. This is how much set money you get until you win this many fights, and then
Correct.
when the fighters are complaining and saying they're not making enough money, and then he says, well, you got to go after your sponsorship, and they're like, well, there's no ad for us to put it on,
Right. Right. There's no
unless you get to
platform.
that. Yeah, unless you get to that upper level and he lets you put Monster on your shorts. you know Come on
Theoretically.
now. Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy makes great decisions, but he's also destroying his people at the same
He
time.
no doubt. And
Yeah.
I do think when we're talking about UFC, I think there is a lack of star power. I think that that is one of
Uh,
the things that I really I'm not the big UFC fan. I'm more of a boxing fan, but honestly, I couldn't name you five guys. I really couldn't. And I know it's a younger man sport. I know the demographic is from 20 to 35 young males. Okay, that's cool. I'm not discounting how powerful it is, but to me, it's the same problem that boxing has. If you don't have stars in continuous rotation, it makes it really difficult to bring in
yeah.
eyes.
Yeah. Hey, we're off the rail sports podcast, right? We get off
Yeah,
the rails. We talk about sports, but we also talk about other things. That's why we're off the
yeah,
rails. Like and
yes,
subscribe. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Good.
But
Love it.
let's, but when I go to the casino and I've stumbled into a UFC fight, that age group is 20 to 50 that I see. And
Okay.
that could be just because everybody's betting, but that's also the most busiest night at the sports book that I see.
Sure,
You
sure,
know,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely.
and I agree, like the star power is not there. And what does make star power? You need somebody that's Mike Tyson-ish, De La Hoya-ish, that is going on 15, 20, wins in a row,
Yeah,
and just like the NFL, there's this team, I think they're called the Kansas City Chiefs. And let's drop some things about how Netflix and HBO and Showtime, they all got their little series about following the Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, you name it. And
right.
the Chiefs are like, hey, everybody loved us until we started winning too much, and then now we're the bad guy. Everybody wants to see us lose. But that's
Everybody
what,
likes a villain.
yeah, but that's what boxing and UFC needs. They need that winner to keep winning.
Sure,
We complained
sure,
about Mike Tyson about the 3 second, 15-second knockouts, but we also wanted to see it go and see if
right.
somebody could knock him out.
Yeah,
And
and
then,
and obviously Mike Tyson built on the narrative because his personal life was such a train wreck. Right? I mean,
yeah,
you watched both things. You saw the excellence in the ring, and then you saw the lack of excellence in making every life decision possible. How you doing, Robin Givens? Right? I mean,
yeah.
just the guy.
Hey, you can take the ghetto out, but the ghetto's always
Right,
in. You take,
right,
the monster doesn't leave the cage.
right.
You know, I know Jay in his
Mm,
backyard right there to his right, he has a
yes,
lion cage, and when we get done with the podcast, he lays with the lion and just chills out and sunbathes in the
yes,
SoCal. Yeah, yeah,
yes.
good. Yeah, pet. Get your little, yeah. There you go. Get the little pets. There you go.
There
Good.
there you go. All right. Well, I appreciate it. I get it. Scott, you have been missed. You have been missed,
Ah,
my friend. So
ah.
let's talk about the summer race over here at Daytona. And it is the last race before we finalize the playoff format for the racers. The final 16. It's the 40th summer race they've had. And do you got any initial thoughts on what we're going to be seeing tonight in Daytona?
Well, let's look at it. There's two drivers not completely locked in. In points, in theory, they're locked in. But if you win, you're in, right?
Right,
You're looking
right,
at the bottom two, Bowman and Reddick, and
right.
they're like 29 points in between each other.
Correct.
Bowman has 60 points above the cut line. In theory, he should be locked in, right? If you're going by points.
Right.
If you're old school MLB, if you're old school NFL, the wild card's locked. You know, it's
Hmm.
done. There's not like, hey, if you beat the Red Sox, 5 times, we're going to let you in.
Right.
This is what NASCAR is hyping you up on, right? You let me 517 points is the 35th driver or 36th driver. If he
Okay.
wins the 51 car, if he wins, he knocks Bowman out and he's in. And you're
Wow.
saying that's not going to happen. Guess what? It happened last year with the Wood brothers. You know,
Absolutely.
he won the race after he got told he was getting kicked out of the 21 car. You know, this is what's going to make Daytona exciting. Um, I am looking in the middle of the pack because I think those are the cars that are set up for driving and racing. And I'm looking at the Fords. You know,
Right.
I am really looking at Brad Keselowski and Priest. That's what I'm looking at. But then I'm
Okay.
going to throw you a little curveball, and I've been on the bandwagon just because my wife is, and
Yeah.
he's in the Chevy. You know it's coming, Mr.
Oh,
Kyle Busch. After
yes.
getting the 3 car in and him not wrecking everybody at Richmond and getting into the chase this year, the 3 might be pushing the 8 to get into the chase. You know,
You know, Kyle Busch hasn't won since June of 2023.
yeah.
I'm not.
Oh wow.
I think Mark Martin was actually right. An active NASCAR driver back then. It's been a
Yeah.
while, Scott. I think
It's been a
dinosaurs
minute.
roam
It's
the
been a
earth.
minute. Hey,
But
it's been a minute.
I will give you. God, I love your insight here. I wonder if RCR has found something, especially with last week with Austin Dillon being incredibly strong. And maybe they could, maybe the organization has found something. I'd like to see Kyle Busch back in the winner's circle. I
Oh
think he's
yeah.
good for the sport. I think, but it just seems like drivers, and I'm just going to go back old school. Jimmy Johnson was amazing until he hit that place, and then
Yep.
he just couldn't find speed. He couldn't understand the car, and maybe there's just something with the Gen X car that Kyle Busch hasn't figured out. I mean, look, we know he can
Uh,
drive. Okay,
hey,
I mean that guy's a wheelman,
I'll tell you what the problem is with Kyle Busch. He needs to be in the seat and he needs the 4 or 5 practices a week. That's what he
right?
needs. He
Right.
can't he's not like Byron that can be the video game and then bring it over to the real life. He can't do that. He's old school. He
Sure.
needs to be in the car. He needs to tell you
Right.
what the shocks are doing. He needs to tell you what the springs are doing. He needs to tell you what the tires are doing. Because the loading of the car going into the turn is really what he needs to feel. They can dampen the shocks and everything in a video game, but he can't. It's not the same to him in a car. That's bottom
Yeah.
line.
Yeah. Well, he was second a year ago to Harrison Buckner.
Bert, Burton,
So
Burton, Burton.
Burton,
Yeah.
whatever,
Hey,
Buckner.
hey,
Come on.
hey, hey.
Hey, it's just a
If you
couple
tee it
letters.
up, I got. Hey, knuckles straight, fingers point. Here we go. Okay, Brian should know that. Okay, Brian should know that. Okay.
Well, Brian ain't here.
Okay.
Brian's
I'm
sleeping.
just
Brian's
saying.
still
I'm just
sleeping.
saying. You get the knuckles lined up and then you point the fingers. That's how you know you're holding the bat right. Okay. Look, you're not getting this anywhere else. Okay. Because they don't do this on ESPN anymore. Look at that's how you hit. Okay. Little League, pay attention. Okay. World
It's also
Series.
a golf swing. It's also a golf swing. Continue.
Hey, hey, let's lock the thumb in. Okay. Hey, look it. See, lock the thumb in. Okay.
There you
Lock
go.
the thumb in.
Overlap,
Okay.
overlap grip,
Overlap,
overlap
overlap,
grip.
overlap. Hey, 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 you're not
All
getting this
right.
anywhere else.
Also, and this is kind of a cool side note, Casey Mears, who really has never had much success on the circuit, is getting close to a 600 race in the seat. I mean, how impressive is that?
Well, that is where he had the win, and that's where your boy
Yep.
DW said that this is the next Jeff Gordon.
Yes. The next
Yeah,
Jeff Gordon. Yeah. That
yeah.
that aged really well. All right, Scott, who do you like in the race?
I'm liking Brad Keselowski. I feel the Fords are going to be there. That would be my top guy. I believe Bowman is going to have a shield around him with all the Hendrick cars because Hendrick is going to want all his cars in there. I mentioned at the beginning of the year that, if you look at the big teams, who's getting all their cars in? That's always a big thing. It's always a big thing. And Bowman is left out of the
Okay.
Hendrick organization. And, I like Kyle Busch. I'm looking at where he's at right now. I think his car's set up for that.
Let me ask you a question. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Since 2023, Penske has led 33% of the laps at Daytona.
Yeah,
Ford, as a manufacturer since 2022, has led 50% of the laps.
yeah.
How come they are not translating that into wins at Daytona?
Because the chaos comes. I mean, the chaos
Okay.
comes, and then it's a tug on the lower extremity, and let's go, boys. And then it's blocking, blocking, blocking. If you can get up front, that's all it is. Because those Fords are way dominant. They just have the downforce figured out. The where the Chevys and Toyotas are designed for short runs, you know, they're so quick to get loose and get sideways that they need that for speed, but you also need that stability as you're going in and you're three wide and the air is pushing you all over the place. You really need that. You know,
What what has changed at Daytona? Because, and for everybody who's listening, I'm more of a casual, maybe a little more informed fan. Scott is definitely deeper, way deeper in the weeds on NASCAR. It used to be you could hang out at the back and make your way to the front. It doesn't seem like that's possible anymore. I mean, anything is possible because of a wreck, right? But
right,
is it the Gen X car? Because we hear for 2 hours the announcer go, well, they're in the back, but they can make their way forward, and the last 60 laps, it's the first 10 guys, excluding an accident, who are the only threats to win.
right.
So
They
is it the car? Is it just the way the aerodynamics are going? What's going on there?
Yep, Bill Franslot said many years ago when he first started NASCAR, we don't want to rely on aerodynamics because it's going to destroy our sport. And now we're looking at aerodynamics destroying the sport. He wanted to rely on horsepower, and you're hearing the NASCAR drivers saying we need more horsepower. The thing
Right,
is, as soon as you get out of that slipstream, they don't have enough horsepower to get that slingshot. They had it figured out
right,
probably 5 6 years ago. They had it figured out, and then there were some really big wrecks, and then they said, hey, we got to get rid of this, and then they went
sure,
back to the lower horsepower so it would be controlled. They do not want these cars over a 200 miles an hour, but they need the DRS or something that lets that car take that to pass everybody as soon as they get out of the slipstream. you know the it's just like the peloton. When you're watching the Tour de France.
yes,
You and I, if we got in the middle of the peloton, as
yeah,
out of shape as we are compared to these athletes, we could be able to hold in there because you're
absolutely,
working way less in that stream. The guy in the front five are the ones that are working the hardest. You know?
right. So let me ask you
Yeah,
a quick question. We're going to get to the
yeah,
predictions. Okay, okay, hold on,
yeah,
because we're going
yeah,
to get
yeah,
out of this
yeah,
podcast. Okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
time's
All
ticking,
right,
kid.
hey, hey,
Time's ticking.
hey, hey. I
Is the
got time.
reason is the well, yeah,
I
is
know. I'm watching it.
is the reason NASCAR isn't increasing horsepower is because when they do increase horsepower, it makes a bigger gap between the best teams and the most well-funded teams and quote unquote the smaller teams like the Wood brothers. Is that why they don't increase the horsepower? Do you think?
They keep saying it's a money thing. I don't
Right.
believe it's a money thing. I don't think the
Okay.
engineers. I don't think that it is. I I just think that NASCAR doesn't want to increase the horsepower because they're worried that when they go on certain tracks, that I mean, look at Atlanta. Atlanta's shorter than Daytona, and it's faster than Daytona. You know,
Right.
with the horsepower. So they they put these guys in such a small box with the transmission, the rear end gears, and everything to make sure that they hold the speed of under 200 miles an hour. You know, there is no more letting these guys decide, letting them like, hey, let's open Pandora's box and let these engineers really get at it. Because even a small team is going to excel. You know,
Right.
and it doesn't, I mean, we look at Martinsville, a short track where supposedly a little team can be just as powerful as anybody else, but who wins there all the time? Joe Gibbs Racing and
Right.
Hendrick. You
Yep.
know,
Yep. All right, let's get some picks to click for everybody tonight. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna make my first picks. I'm gonna pick three guys. I like Chase Elliott tonight.
okay.
I think he could be a threat. I like Bowman, and as a long shot, I like Stenhouse. How about you?
Stenhouse is a great pick.
What's that?
Really good pick. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
it's
I
all right.
got
It's okay.
somebody's trying to call me. I like
Busy,
Stenhouse,
busy.
but busy, busy, busy.
It's
So
Joe
I
Gibbs.
got,
Joe Gibbs is
yeah,
on the phone. Scott, what do we
yeah,
need to do to
yeah,
get more
yeah.
horsepower? What do we need
Right,
to do?
right.
Penske, Penske.
Uh,
We can't
yeah,
cheat like in Indy.
I like RFK. I'm looking at RFK. I think they're going to try to get one of their cars in, and I think
Okay.
I like Busher. And I like Kozlowski to go for it. And I'm looking at
Okay.
Bush. I'm really looking at the teammates. I do
Okay.
see Bowman. I do see Bowman going for it, but I don't know. I think Reddick or Bowman might wreck out of this race, and then they're going to be in the back just making sure they make it through.
Yeah,
You know,
for
they're
sure.
saying they got
For
to
sure.
win. They got to win to get in, but they're also going to be looking at, okay, now we're set. 29 points in each stage.
Yeah.
If they win two stages, that's 20 points. Now Bowman's only 9 points out. He
See,
can't really make
I got
up.
an
It could be
interesting
go on.
I got an interesting fact that nobody who has ever won a stage at Daytona has won the race.
Yeah, I believe it.
Now, that's the summer race. I'm not going to say for the February race. I don't know that. I just saw that stat and I was like, God, that's kind of intense, you
Right.
know? All right.
Yeah.
So you're gonna double down on your boy Bush. Is that what we're
Bush.
hearing here?
Yeah. My three picks are the six, Brad Keselowski, and then the 17 Busher, and then I like the eight. I always go with three picks. I don't know. I like the lucky three.
Yeah.
That's me.
Lucky three. I'm going
Yeah.
with Reddick, Austin Dillon, and Bowman. All right.
Right.
If you could
Hey,
hit that like and subscribe button. Well, go ahead.
hold on. We got the NFL not for long getting ready to start. We have college football starting today.
Yes.
I want to put Jay on the spot. We're going to give him 1 minute to answer 1 minute for each question. NFL, the top two, the bottom two of the NFL. Who are they?
Top two, I think it's absolutely it's Philadelphia, and I'm going to go with Baltimore. The bottom two, I'm going to say New Orleans, and who's another gutter dweller?
The
Uh,
Colorado
I'm going to say,
Rockies.
yeah, no kidding, the Colorado Rockies. I'm going to say it's going to be somebody in the AFC South. Let's go with Indianapolis. I think they're going to have a terrible year, but you,
Okay.
yeah.
I, I'm looking at the Bills. I like the
Hmm.
Bills.
Yeah.
And then the Eagles, they look still good. So
Yeah.
the bottom dwellers, um I mean, you gotta always pick a New York team, right?
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
that fancy quarterback that they got
Giants.
over there? Yeah, the
Yeah.
Giants.
Right. Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God.
And
Yeah.
I just want to piss some people off. I'm gonna say the Raiders.
Oh, you're gonna piss a lot of people off. Yeah. The right. Right.
Yeah.
All
The
right.
do the Longhorns really stand at number one? That is my question for you, my friend. Since you're trying to sign off, here we go. Let's hear it.
Are the lawnmowers
Longhorns
with?
or Longhorns? That is what the
I'm gonna go out
Longhorns.
on the. I'm gonna go on the limb. I'm gonna tell you who's gonna win the college championship this year. It's gonna be LSU. LSU is under the
Wow.
weeds. Yeah. I'm not messing
Okay.
around here. LSU.
Okay.
You.
I like Oregon. I think they might really show up this time and finish it off.
You know what? They showed up last year. I think the delay when they got to the Rose Bowl, Ohio State was just clicking on all gears. Sometimes you just run into a better team,
Oh
and I
yeah,
think Oregon's got a great program.
yeah. It's also their first time actually meeting somebody that's really stout at the beginning of the year, and then meeting them at the end of the year and
Yeah,
seeing what progress really looks like.
yeah, for sure. All right, that's it for Off the Rails, a sports podcast. If you could hit that like and subscribe, really hit the like thing, okay? Help my self esteem. Scott doesn't need it. He's living the glorious life, but I need it to validate myself, okay?
Right.
So if you
Right.
could, all right, we'll see you soon on Off the Rails Sports Podcast.